My name is Asad, and I am 22 years old. My brother, he left me his wife. It sounds funny, I know, but he told me, take care of her. And I said I would. But then, one night, very late, I heard her voice from her room. A soft voice. Asad. In that moment, everything was about to change. My promise, my family, my whole life. My older brother, Faisal, was always the star of our family. He had big plans for business. He knew his future. And me? I was just Asad, the younger brother. My biggest plan was what to have for lunch. My brother paid for my college. He paid for everything. So when he said he was moving to America for the family business, no one was surprised. The surprise was that he decided to get married first. Her name was Sarah, and she was so lovely. She had a quiet smile that made you feel warm. Their wedding was huge. It lasted for a whole week, full of music and food. Then, just 2 weeks later, Faisal was on a plane to America. He had a green card and work to do. Sarah had to wait for her visa, maybe for a year, maybe more. So now it was just the three of us. My mother, who is getting older, Sarah, my new sister-in-law, and me. The house felt very big and very quiet. The night before Faisal left, he put his hands on my shoulders. He looked right into my eyes. His voice was serious. Asad, he said, I am trusting you. Take care of Mama and take care of Sarah. She is new here. She is now your duty. I nodded. Of course, Bai. I promise. It sounded easy. How hard could it be? But I didn't understand. I didn't know that a quiet house can feel very, very lonely. I didn't know my promise would lead me somewhere so difficult. At first, things were strange. The three of us ate dinner together, but we did not talk much. The only sound was our spoons touching our plates. My mother would ask a question. We would answer. Then, quiet again. Sarah would give a small, shy smile, but her eyes looked far away. Maybe they were looking for Faisal across the sea. In our culture, the relationship between a brother-in-law and sister-in-law, we call it devar, and Babi is special. It is friendly, like a brother and older sister. I tried to be a good devar. I asked, Babi, do you need anything from the market? I helped her with her studies online, but when we were close, the air felt different. I noticed small things, like the soft smell of jasmine from her hair that stayed in the hallway after she left. It was just a smell, but it made me feel strange. I started to see how lonely she was. Sometimes she stood by the window for a long, long time, just looking outside. I would see her pick up her phone to call Faisal, but the time in America was so different. Their calls were short. Sometimes they did not talk for days. She was a new wife, but her husband was not here. She started to get very bad headaches. One night, my mother was asleep. I found Sarah in the living room. Her hands were on her head, her face full of pain. Another headache, Bobby? I asked, my voice soft. She looked at me. Her eyes were wet with tears. It hurts all the time, Asad. Seeing her like that, I just had to help. I went out and bought a strong pain balm. When I gave it to her, her fingers touched my hand, just for a second, but it was like a little spark of electricity. I told myself, you are just helping, you are keeping your promise. But my thoughts went to other places. I felt bad. I lived in my brother's house. I was using his money to study. One afternoon, I came home from college. Sarah was on the roof, washing clothes. Her own clothes were a little wet from the water. My stomach felt tight and twisted. I quickly turned around and walked away. My heart was beating so fast, I felt like I was being a bad brother just with my thoughts. Then came the night that changed everything. The house was so quiet, you could almost hear the silence. The only sound was the sound of the air conditioner. I was in my room. I was trying to read a book for college, but my mind was too full. And then, I heard a sound, a very quiet voice from the hallway. Asad. It was Sarah. My heart felt like it stopped beating for a second. I didn't move. I'd hoped I was just hearing things. Asad, can you come here, please? She called again. My heart started beating fast. Why was she calling me? So late at night, for a man to go into his sister-in-law's room at midnight. It is a line we do not cross. It can cause big, big problems. But then I heard my brother's voice in my head. She is your duty now. I walked slowly to her door. It was open a little bit. I gave it a small push. The room was dark. There was just one small nightlight. She was sitting on her bed with pillows behind her. Her hair was down, resting on her shoulders. She was not wearing her dupatta, the scarf she always wore. Come in, she whispered. Her voice was weak. And please close the door. My hand was shaking when I closed the door. I felt, this is not right. My head hurts so much, Asad, she said. Her voice was shaking. The medicine is not working. She looked at me, and her eyes were so full of pain. You are the only person in this house I can ask for help. Then she asked me something I never expected. My grandmother used to say, oil on your head helps the pain go away. Can you please put some oil on my head? I am sorry to ask, but the pain is very bad. I just stood there. I could not move. This felt too personal. It was a line, a big one, but her eyes looked so sad, and I thought, what if I say no? She will be in pain. And what if she tells Faisal Asad did not help me? I remembered again. I live in his house. I am his responsibility too. I did not say anything. I just nodded my head. I sat on the side of her bed very carefully. My body felt stiff, like a wooden board. She gave me a small bottle of oil. I poured a little onto my hand. The oil was cool on my skin. I moved my hand to her head. For a moment, my fingers stopped in the air. Then I touched her hair. It felt so soft, like silk. I started to rub the oil into her head. My hands felt clumsy. The room was quiet. I could smell the sweet almond oil. I could hear her breathing, soft and slow. I looked at the wall. I tried to think about my exams. I tried to think about anything else. After maybe 20 minutes, her breathing was very deep. She was asleep. I slowly took my hands away. I stood up and looked at her sleeping. I felt so many things. I felt bad. I felt sorry for her. I was confused. And there was another feeling too. A feeling I did not want to give a name to. I walked out of the room on my toes and closed the door very gently. I went to my bed, but I did not sleep that night. I just looked at the dark ceiling, thinking about what happened over and over again. The next morning at breakfast, the food had no taste for me. Sarah smiled a little. Thank you, Asad, she said. My headache is gone. She talked about the weather. She acted like it was a normal day. Her being so normal made everything feel more strange. Our life continued, but when we were in the same room, the silence felt different now. It was not empty. It was full of what happened that night. The line I was scared to cross now felt fuzzy and unclear. A few nights later, it happened again. The house was quiet. My mother was sleeping. I heard the soft call from her room. Asad! This time, I did not wait. I went to her room. She was sitting on her bed like before. But this time, she did not say she had a headache. She looked at the empty place on the bed next to her. She wanted me to sit there. As I sat down, she took my hand. Her hand was warm. A feeling went all the way up my arm. I think, she said, and her voice was a very low whisper. I can only speak the truth, in the dark. My promise to my brother feels like a trap. What truth will she tell me? Am I a bad brother for just sitting here, for listening? What would you do? Tell me in the comments below. If you want to know her secret from the dark, please subscribe and click the bell for part 2.